Y'all. Welcome to another empowering episode of Pep Talks with Megan De La Concha. This is a super exciting podcast. This is definitely off the grid. This is not a part of my content that I have planned out until months and months out. But like I have always promised you, this podcast is meant to show you in real time my journey. The fails, the successes, the hardships, the frustration, the confusion, the clarity, the wins, the smiles, the happiness, the good news, all of it. And those of you who are watching, I am in my pajamas from last night. My hair is up. I'm not even going to name it. It's not a messy bun. It's not a ponytail. It's just up. Okay. It's just up. And I have zero makeup on. One of the reasons is because currently it's Saturday and I just do not feel like it. I'm tired. I think I'm a little bit under the weather. I'm actually drinking a little bit of tea, and I'm not a huge tea drinker. I have tried so hard. Coffee is my go-to. And if it's not coffee, it's wine or whiskey, depending on the hour. But I'm feeling some tea today because I am just mentally and emotionally exhausted, but in a very, very good way and for a very good reason. So in real time, because I'm not really sure when I'm going to release this podcast, I'm going to actually talk to my podcast producer today and kind of discuss with him what's been going on and see if we can go ahead and release this sooner, because I do want this to be fresh for you guys. I want you to feel like you're on the journey with me. However, this takes planning. And we already have things that are set up to go. So it's going to be a few weeks off, but it's not going to be like, a year ago or a month ago. Or it might be a month ago. But I'm going to get it as quickly to you as possible. But in my first part 1 of this series, I came to you and I talked to you guys about how freaking frustrated I was because I was conflicted with wanting to leave my current 9-to-5 and pursue this purpose, this podcast, program, just pursue all of this, my own business. And I was in a period of waiting. And in that podcast, I went over the 2 ways that we react when we are called to wait upon the Lord. And that is 1, we run back to what we know out of confusion and fear. That is safe. It's secure to us. We may not like it, but we know it. We're comfortable with it, right? We know about what we can expect, the good, the bad, the pros, and the cons. So we run back to what we used to know. Or we push forward in presumption. And, as I discussed, I've gone down both of those paths. And I was refusing to do that because my walk in faith has been so renewed and so steadfast lately that I was completely aware that if I were to go down either of those paths, I would be disobedient. And I wanted, my daily prayer was for God to show me how to be obedient, because I wanted to be obedient, but I just didn't know what to do or how to do it. And everything that comes with that. It's a learning process. It doesn't just happen, right? So we also discussed the 4 ways of how you wait on the Lord. And I'm not going to go through them extensively, but I am going to review them in case you were disobedient and you did not stop the video and you did not go see part 1. So lucky you. But 1 was to wait in prayer. And 2 was to wait with a humble heart. And I believe I mentioned in the first part, or I discussed, that I wasn't completely sure as to what that really meant. And it took me a little bit. I had to really kind of read that passage over and over and over again in my devotional to really kind of grasp the concept of waiting with a humble heart. And let me tell you, when I get through with this, That's the one out of the 4 ways, that's the one thing that stood out the most. Number 3 was waiting in faithfulness, or waiting in faith. And number 4 was waiting in quiet patience. So I did just that. And let me just give you a real-time date. So that was August 31st. And I know you're not really supposed to mention the time on your podcast, but for this purpose, I'm going to tell you, because I want you to go there with me. I want you to feel this with me. August 31st, that was a Monday. Tuesday, which was September 1st, I was just beyond conflicted. That was when I made this podcast, was on a Tuesday, because I needed to talk it out. And by talking to you, I was really also talking to the Lord, and I needed to verbalize it. I needed to get my frustration out. And in that podcast, which is part 1, I confessed that I was in this waiting period. I was frustrated beyond all belief. I didn't know what to do. It was hard to wait, and it's hard to be patient, but I wanted so bad to obey. And so I prayed on these things. I prayed on, God, if I am supposed to leave my job because I am miserable in it the last few months. Now, mind you, I was also conflicted because the job that I was in, it was not a bad job at all. It was a great job. It was a great company to work for. It was a children's hospital, or is a children's hospital. I had a great relationship with everybody there. And this was a job that I prayed for. This was a job I prayed for. So can you imagine how conflicted I was that 4 years ago I prayed for this job, and then now I'm praying to get out of it? But that's the reality, and that's okay. So many of us stay stuck in things because we feel we have to be loyal to them, when really you just have to be loyal to yourself and loyal to God. God is going to rapidly change things in your life. He's going to bring things in. He's going to take things out, vice versa. You can't stay stuck on what you know, or stay stuck on guilt. Well, God's going to think that I'm ungrateful. And that was me. I'm not calling anybody out. That was me. Well, God thinks I'm going to be ungrateful because, I prayed for this job, and now I feel like I'm ungrateful because I'm praying to get out of it. And I just don't understand, because I truly went from absolutely loving this job like I've never loved a job before. I mean, getting there early. I was actually sad when the weekends came, not because I didn't have anything to do, but because I loved the people so much. I loved the work. I felt so good. I felt so fulfilled when I was there. I didn't want to leave it. It was such a new feeling for me. So getting to this point where my heart was just not in it anymore, and trying hard to get that joy back, I was just not finding the joy in my work anymore. And that was, something that was really hard to accept. So I was in this total confusion, and my mind was going back and forth from guilt to feeling ashamed, to asking God for forgiveness that I even felt this way, to asking Him to show me what I needed to do, and that I felt this way. What do I do? What do I do? I laid the case out before Him. I told Him what I was having difficulty with. I didn't know if it was my voice I was hearing or if it was His voice. And I needed clarity on that. So later on in the day, I had called a very dear friend of mine who was a former, or is an HR director, and she was taking some time off. So I discussed with her the turmoil I was going through. And she had given me some brilliant advice, and we discussed taking a medical leave, maybe some short-term disability, so that if it made the transition a little bit easier, if you need to know that, hey, it's still there, if this doesn't work out, that it was still there. And that seemed like a great and wonderful plan. And I actually had made an appointment with our HR to go over that. But in my heart, I felt, I know I'm not coming back to this job, and I don't want to leave a thread. I don't want to leave any type of connection, anything that could keep me from fully immersing myself in my purpose. Because I know if in the back of my head, hey, I've got 3 months, maybe I wouldn't work as hard, because if I left and I left clean, my butt would have had to work day and night, because I'm not leaving to go to another job. I'm not leaving to go collect another paycheck right off the bat or have insurance for my family. I'm leaving to start my own business when I do leave. That was the whole goal. So that's scary. So I needed to start making some income, as fast as I could, but in the right way. So I prayed about it and I prayed about it and I prayed about it. Wednesday morning, which is September 2nd, I woke up and I just felt this overwhelming clarity and tranquility, peace of mind. I still didn't have the answers yet. I still didn't know what, where, when, or how, but I knew what I needed to do. I knew that this just wasn't for me and that it was time to go. I didn't know how I was going to do it or say it. I don't know when I was going to pull the trigger. I didn't know any of that, but I just had it so heavy on my heart and so clear in my mind and in my soul and in my spirit that yes, I will be making this transition. So I spent all day like that. Thursday came around, which was the 3rd, September 3rd, and my boss, I'm only there for a half day on Thursdays because of the pandemic. And I went into the office, and my boss and my senior director, they called in kind of a last minute impromptu meeting. And of course, because of the way I had been feeling, I had such an attitude. I was like, oh my God, what now? Because mind you, again, I felt like I had been pulled into the principal's office every single week for the last few months over some nonsense, absolute nonsense. And I had been feeling some type of way about the job. I had been feeling some type of way about these people. I had been feeling these unnecessary pressures. I kind of had been feeling like I'd been being bullied a little bit. And that my work was being pulled into question and my productivity was being pulled into question just because of the fact that I was working from home while I was taking care of my children, staggering my hours with my husband, doing the best I could in the middle of a pandemic. Okay. So I went in there with my notepad and I had a meeting with HR on Friday. So this was Thursday. So I went in there with my notepad and my pen, fixing to write every little thing down. I almost wanted to record the conversation because I was so fed up and I was ready just to take everything I could to HR. I was just ready. And I had never felt that way in my life, ever. So we sit down and I'm just going to tell you the conversation that happened. And this is all God. So the chair, the person who I ultimately reported to, the head of the department, he said, we need to discuss your career and the future with us. Because, right off the bat, you guys, because I see that you're trying to get a business up and running and you're trying to put yourself out there as a coach. And I see the work that you've been doing. I looked at your website. I've listened to what you've been doing, aka this podcast. And I feel that I need to tell you that it's okay to go. Because when I see your work, I see your heart. And it's not here anymore at the hospital. It's not here. And to be quite frank, this is still him talking. He said, you have outgrown your position. And unfortunately, because of the state that we are in, there is a hiring freeze. So there's no room for growth right now. There's no room to make any extra money. That the contribution to the retirement fund has stopped. Your heart is not here anymore. Your wants and your needs are not aligning with what this department wants and needs and what is required. And that's okay. But if this is your dream, you have to go follow it. And you guys, I obviously just started bawling, crying and crying and crying. And I told him, you have no idea how conflicted I have been quite literally yesterday and the day before, because I knew I needed to make a change, but I didn't know how to change it. And I didn't know if it was just me being ungrateful and miserable and bored or what it was. And I finally came to a decision that I was going to give my notice, but it wasn't going to be until the end of the year. I wanted to finish out the year and start January 2021 fresh as a daisy. And he said, why wait? And I'm like, well, that's just it. The Lord has other plans. So he said, how can I support you if this is what you want to do? So he asked me, is this what you want to do? And I answered, yes, through the tears. Yes, this is what I want to do. And he said, okay, how can I support you in a 30-day transition? And that's exactly what I was going to do, you guys. When I gave my 2 weeks notice in, my resignation is really what I should call it. When I turned in my resignation, I wasn't going to leave in 2 weeks because there's a huge handoff that my job it has. I have so much on my plate. It would not be able to get done in 2 weeks. So my whole plan was to give them the notice, but then extend it for 30 days so that we could hopefully get somebody back in and I could train them and be done. If God isn't good, and I was crying, boohoo crying, it was about my time to go. So I finished, I walked out of his office like I had lost 80 pounds. I got in my car and I cried and I cried and I praised the Lord's name because all I had to do was just say yes to him. I just had to say, yes, God, I'm listening and I'm waiting because I know you're going to show me when I need to be shown. But guess what? It's not even like he put that on my heart that I was leaving, but he also put it on my boss's heart to tell me, you got to go. I didn't know all of that was happening in the background. You don't know what's happening in the background. I just needed to tell God, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready. And I know that you'll show me the rest of the way. So my boss and I didn't have to say it. I didn't have to walk in with a piece of paper and my stomach, clenched and my palms sweaty and my armpit sweaty and my heart racing out of my chest because I just didn't know how I was going to tell them. They told me, they released me. That was the answer. And then let me tell you something else. When you say yes, the doors bust open. So in 30 days, I will be done officially as a 9-to-5er, and I will be my own employer, working from home with my own business, Megan De La Concha, LLC. Yes, praise Jesus. Now, the buck does not stop there. I came home and I was crying and I was elated and I was just so excited. And I kept thinking about it over and over again. And I could not believe this was happening. Owning my own business has been a dream of mine since I was little. I always wanted to have my own business. I didn't know what in, but I always wanted to have my own business. And I could not believe that it was a mere 30 days away from me. I just could not believe it, you guys. And I'm smiling ear to ear because I still cannot believe it. I'm so excited. So 3 hours after that, I got a Facebook message and I was invited to be the guest on one of the top podcasts nationally. I don't know when I'm going to release this episode, so I'm not going to give the name. You will know it. But I saw the first 2-3 sentences of the Facebook message, before I actually opened it up and started reading it. And I dropped my phone. I dropped my phone and I dropped to my knees. My husband had to pick up the phone and pick me up and put me on the couch. And he had to open it up and read the whole message. And he started crying and I was crying. And I was like, oh, are you freaking kidding me? Yo, just 2 hours ago, I was just released from one of the biggest conflicts I had. And I have a light at the end of the tunnel that in 30 days I'm going to have my own business. 2 hours later, I was asked to be a guest on one of the biggest podcasts ever. And one of my ultimate favorites, who this woman is a powerhouse, and she has guest upon guest upon guest that is mind blowing. And I was asked to be on this. Are you nuts? What is happening? Oh my God. If I didn't have to go take a shot, I did, because my nerves were like, what? How good is God to open up that door, to open up those blessings when you decide to say yes. And it doesn't stop there, my friends. No. So, of course, I went to bed and I slept like a baby, woke up with my eyes swollen, because that's what happens when I cry. And in the middle of the day, I got to share the news with my community of sisters who love and support me like none other. They're like 1,000 of my husbands. They just, the support is just, I don't even have a word for it. It's overwhelming at times in an amazing type of way. In an amazing type of way. They are a circle of strong, amazing women who are out to do just astounding things and are going to conquer the world. Girls, we run the world. Yeah, we do, bae. Yeah, we do. I got one of the first things on my agenda that I was actually going to have to tap into some secured funds was to get together with this amazing course creator so that I could get this empowerment program done, outlined, recorded, worksheets done, marketing done, finalized, ready to go, ready for my audience, for me to market it and my audience to say, click, pay what they needed to pay, and let's get this group coaching together. And it's $1,000, and she's amazing. She's worth every single penny, if not more. It's $1,000. So I said to my husband, the first thing I need to take out when I'm able to get these funds, the first thing I need to do is I need to pay Lacey. Said a name. And I need to pay her because I've got to get this course. That is what this program, this podcast is all leading to, but it's also a moneymaker. Okay? So I got an email that afternoon after our weekly Q&A and after I got to share the amazing news with my sisters. And in the email, she messaged me and said, check your email real quick. So in the email, I had received an invoice and it said paid in full. Paid in full. What? Did you guys hear me? My course was covered. I was in. The Lord blessed somebody to bless me. She blessed me with her services and her time fully paid because she saw the work that I was doing. I was very transparent in our community about the conflict I was having. And when I shared how I said, yes, I obeyed the calling, and the Lord opened up this door and this door, and she said, oh, girl, I see you. I've just been waiting for you. I've just been waiting. I've been watching you, and I have been waiting on you. And that's one thing that our mentor says, Patrice Washington. She says, there is somebody out there that is waiting to bless you, but they got to see your work. They got to see you showing up consistently. And in this case, this blessing happened so quick. I mean, boom, cried again. Cried again. So not only did I leave a job that I was becoming, rapidly miserable in and very stressed. I was starting my own business. I got invited to be a guest interviewer or a guest speaker on an amazing podcast that's going to skyrocket my business and her business, hopefully. I always think little old me, but you don't know. And then now this course that I was going to kind of, tap into some funds to be able to do was fully paid, fully covered. You guys, that is God. That is the result of walking fully in faith. And I have never, ever walked this much in faith. I have never had this relationship with God. And that's not because of everything he just did for me. No, 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 no. This relationship was formed deeply. It's always been there, but this was deeply formed over the last few months. I put the work in to get connected to the Lord, to put him first in everything that I did, to trust him when I didn't know how to trust him, to put my faith in him and say, I'm not really sure how to trust you right now, but I want to trust you. Like, that is the desire of my heart. So show me, give me the strength to trust you, because that's the desire. And I'm not used to this. I'm not used to giving it all to you. I'm not used to surrendering. I'm not used to waiting on you. I'm not used to waiting with a humble heart. I'm not used to waiting in faith. I'm not used to waiting in prayer. I'm not used to waiting in quiet patience. Show me how. And he did. And when he showed me, I said, yes, yes, yes. Because the rest is not for me to figure out. It's for me to find out, because God already has everything figured out. So when we say, oh, I don't know, I'll just figure it out. No, you will not. That's not your job. Your job is to say, yes, Lord, I will obey. I am scared out of my dang pants. I am unsure, but I have the faith and I have the confidence and I have the strength to put all of my trust in you, because I know without a shadow of a doubt, you got me. That's your job, is to say yes. And his job is to show you when he wants to show you. This was in the matter of 3 days, my friends. 3 days. Life changing. And when I say life changing, I don't mean the color of a lipstick, which, yes, that could be, life changing. No, this was life altering. Life altering in the matter of 3 days. Of course, the buildup was more, but in 3 days, this was the breakdown. God didn't give you a calling for you to question. He didn't give you something for you to turn around and say, I'm not good enough. I'm unworthy. I'm this. He gave you a calling, and he gave you instructions for one word. Yes. Maybe 2 words. Yes, Lord. That is your job. God has your life figured out. He's got your blessings in the back waiting waiting to bless you with it. That's his desire. You are his child. He wants to give it to you. He is waiting to give it to you. He can't wait. He's bouncing up and down. He's, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I am so excited to give this to you. You don't have to figure it out. You are meant to find out by saying yes. And if I am a testament here today, that's exactly what I am. For those of you who have any doubts in your mind or are still conflicted, wait on the Lord. Go back and listen to part 1 and put all your full conviction. May your spirit be completely convicted in the confidence of the Lord, because he is waiting to bless you with so many amazing things. This is just in the matter of 3 days. Your job is to obey and say yes in the calling. Say yes to the commands. I hope you all have a wonderful, empowering week. More to come. Stay tuned. Love you guys. Bye.